Howdy. Enjoying a cup of tea in the backyard on a day that I think could be. It feels like spring. The wattles are out, the pink flowers are blooming, bit more bees around. So I think, to me, this is what signals spring is on its way. And I hate winter, and I've always known that. Before I came to Melbourne, that was the thing that I knew that I would inevitably wrestle with. And whenever people mentioned how cold it would be, I was like, don't tell me that. But I've gotten used to it. This winter was particularly harsh. It really saps the life out of me. Like, they talk about SADS, seasonal affective disorder, and I definitely think there's something there for me because I just struggle. Like, my mood goes down, even though I'm relatively warm. It is a challenge, but I've definitely become better at handling it. I give myself the chance to just really respect my own rhythms, and like an animal going into hibernation, I have a focus, and that's kind of just to lay low, recuperate, and I know that I'll be more productive come the warmer weather. I'll feel more alive, and that's not fighting at things. Like, there's obviously, pain, how we feel about something, but there's also suffering, which is, the prolonged resistance to something, and that when we can find peace with things, I think that pain diminishes. It's a very kind of Buddhist, I think, way of looking at things. But yeah, it's really got me thinking about just seasons in general. Ebbs and flows, ups and downs, all part of life. But the other thing that's been on my mind is just the seasons that finish. The seasons, the parts of life that start and go to an end, and that's it. And that is the entirety of life, right? Seasons come and go, but there are parts of life that, once they're gone, they don't come back again. And I'm turning 36 this year and getting further and further away from 30s, and it's been not really weighing on my mind, but I've been thinking about it more. And I would say that's primarily because I'm getting more grays. People often say that they pin me for 30 or under, and I'm very youthful in personality, and I love a good goosing around, but there's some things you can't really hide from, like grey hairs. So, and I've been thinking, like, should I dye them? But so far I've decided against it because I feel that would be to resist a process that is very natural. Even though we do live in a society that really, not to say fetishizes youth, but it makes it, our looks and youth, be the be all and end all, and there's all these negative connotations around getting older. I thought about it and I was like, sure, having a six pack and sharper facial features would be nice, but at the same time, my younger years I spent not really being so rich and fixed in my own self-esteem and identity, and a lot of that has really come about post 27. 26 is when I went to Tonga, and then I wrote my book. So I think from that period on, but still, like, finding my place career-wise was really hard. And I only moved into my youth work and counselling like in the last 2 years. So now I'm at a position where my life is really holistic, really well, relationship, friends, place to live, that, hobbies. So yeah, I don't think I want to go back to those younger years, and I think dyeing my greys would also put me in the mindset of trying to hold on to something, hold on to the bank rather than running with the river to take me into more richer places. And I want to think that from here on, life is only going to get better. I'm going to age like fine wine and get richer. Things will be more rich, I think. The experiences, I don't go out as much, more of a homebody these days, particularly because I work a lot. But also I think I value more of the experiences that I do have. They're more intentional. It's very much quality over quantity type of life. And with that, it's also got me thinking about like life and what makes a well-lived life, and how do you measure, quality of life. And actually had a friend over and we were sitting right here, and he is an electrician, had been working in various retirement homes, and he spoke about how sad it was to see people kind of at the end of their days just not really enjoying themselves. It was like this almost like prolonging life for maybe the sake of it, like that was some sort of achievement. And it just made me reflect that I really always want to be attached to the quality of my life, not just living for the sake of it. I want to, if I got to a state where I wasn't able to take care of myself or just do any things that I enjoyed and it was just difficult, I would be like, I don't want to do this. I think it's time for me to go, which is pretty deep. Touching wood that I'm not going to have that anytime soon, but understandably, like, your ability does diminish with time, and this whole conversation has really made me think that, hey, I am going to have an end date eventually. I think when you're young, you always think about like dying as something that happens to other people. That's lucky. I guess you're lucky if you haven't had any brushes with death or close illnesses or death in the family. That's well, I suppose I lost an uncle when I was really young, but and actually I did lose a friend when I was in my 20s. So yeah, I don't know. But for whatever reason, given those experiences, I still hold on to this kind of mentality that that's them, other people. Maybe it's a protective thing, Maybe humans, we're not built to really carry the weight of such questions when we've got bills to pay and got to get to work. But I have been thinking about it, and that what do I want my life to be about? Because I think rather than getting all hung up on the fact that I won't have these experiences anymore, I think naturally when you get to a certain age you start to gravitate towards more so meaning and the ways of making yourself transcend this experience, and that might be through having kids, or art. And I'm not sure on the kid front where that will go yet, as of yet, but I know with the work that I do working with young people, I often have a thought that, hey, like you and me, young person, and we're sitting on the trampoline at night looking at the stars and talking about aliens, and they're telling me about their experiences with their family and sharing some deep stuff. That's the kind of thing that I think both of us will remember. And I like the work because it allows me, without having kids of my own, to be involved with a young person's experiences that they will carry throughout their life as they grow. And then my art, my first book, Living in Cream, reading it now gives me such perspective, given that it was almost 10 years ago, and to see everything that I've done in that period of time. And it's kind of this condensed lifetime in a thing that I can then give to other people. And when I'm gone, that piece of my life, that narrative, that story lives on. And I think that's something with all types of art, because I like to think artists, with what they create, they put a piece of themselves in it, and that's got an opportunity to live on. And it's made me feel motivated about my second book more than anything, getting it done, even though it's going to be a big piece of work. But to get it done, so say, towards the end of my life, I can spend the rest of my soup up to print 1,000, 10,000 copies and just send them around, just mail them to different people. That's egotistical, but I think there's something healthy in that. Looking at what we can contribute or do beyond our own life. And that's not to say that everyone has to have a job in youth work or create a book, but I just think through relationships, even if they're not our kids, I think that's something that, through the memories we create with other people. Or you can just do graffiti and scribble your name everywhere. Yeah. There was this Neil deGrasse Tyson kind of quote, and he said, living to live forever would take the kind of what's special about the life that we do have, and to dye your hair, to biohack and all these things, to prolong, I think, just can rob you from the here and now, and there's so much there. When I was younger, I was so focused on the future, but as I've gotten older and learn how much is not really within our control, it's definitely brought me back to experiencing the here and now. And there's a list of things that I want to accomplish, and I don't know how that will go, but I think as long as I can have a conversation with myself when my time's up or getting near up, that I've attempted to do everything that I can or reach the potential that I have, right? I think that's what it's all about. It's all subjective. It's about the potential that we all have, and I think that's been my measure as to date. I could compare myself to so many other people, but I've become so much happier and more productive since really looking at what I can do, and especially being diagnosed with ADHD, that's shaken up a lot of things. So yeah, I just want to be able to say towards the end that I've done everything that I can, and I've scraped, almost the bottom of the barrel in terms of my potential, because I believe we've all got more to give and something to give. Cool, that's me. Thank you for tuning in.